Good morning. So I'm excited to share with you a little bit about Small Business Festival. And just before I get started, how many people in the room are elected officials? Perfect. Well, thank you very much for your service. So I'm excited to share about Small Business Festival and how we worked with the City of Austin to get it named one of the rockstar city for small business. Can you hear me okay at the back? Use this one a little bit closer. Thank you. So first, before I get started, I really want to explain why Small Business Festival. And to do this, I think the easiest thing to start with is you can probably tell that I'm not quite from around here. So even though the event happened in Austin, I'm from Melbourne, Australia, and when I moved to Austin, what I noticed was I kept getting asked to speak at tech events. I got asked to judge things like Google Startup Weekend, Angel Hack, and what I realized was I was spending all of my time predominantly getting invited to work with tech. Now, while tech is incredibly important for any ecosystem or any city or state, there's a lot more to small business than just tech, as I know everyone here is aware. And what I was looking to do was create something that didn't exclude tech, but it encapsulated all of small business, including tech. So what I did is I started to postulate an idea of what if we could create a festival of collaboration for all of small business. Now, every now and then, when you come up with an idea, you happen to run into some people that make it even more possible. And every now and then, you kind of capture lightning in a bottle. And this is the team that I met around the time that I was coming up with the idea of Small Business Festival. When, a lot of times an idea in a vacuum just doesn't work. So you have to have strong legal support to make sure all your documents are done well, make sure the speakers don't get sued, make sure you don't get sued. So Andrew in the top right-hand corner, he works for one of the major he's our legal partner, he's one of our board members, but he's also, make sure that we don't get sued, and he works for one of the major legal firms in the United States. Nick Baker he's hugely community focused, does a huge number of community events in Austin. Michaela used to work for Macomb School of Business. Myrna King worked for the Austin Coaching Coalition, so heavy roots into the community. And Kevin Belsford there, he actually ran Blues on the Green, which is a big festival in Austin as well. So I shared with them the idea of creating this festival. And we came up with the idea of what we really wanted to do was focus this festival around three things. One was, and I'm sure that everybody's been to conferences where there are people up on stage, speakers, talking about things, but they've never actually really done it themselves. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to have small businesses that had grown big, that were the people speaking from stage, and we wanted to celebrate those people, their success stories. We wanted to make sure that they provided real tangible education to everybody, all the small businesses that were coming to partake in these seminars. And also we wanted to inspire people, not only to inspire new people to move into small business, but inspire and reinvigorate the dream of small business for people that had been in business for 5, 6, 10 years that perhaps had just lost that drive to continue on, perhaps because their business wasn't working. And what we wanted to do was inspire them to continue on by helping them understand that it wasn't their functional skill for why they were failing. It was the things outside the scope of their functional skill, like marketing, like strong business systems, like sales, like digital marketing, like so many things that are the things they don't think about when they start their own business that are stopping them from succeeding. I mean, we know that a lot of small businesses, they generally start their own business because they want to earn a great income doing what they love, or in a business that revolves around them, their family, and their life, not the other way around. And then they find themselves having to do all these things that they don't love or don't know how to do, and they become overwhelmed. So we felt by celebrating success stories, by giving them true education, and by inspiring them, we could create something unique for all of small business. The format that we decided to follow was on the Monday, and we do this during National Small Business Week, because we feel, and what we felt at the time and we still feel, is that during National Small Business Week, it's a reason for small businesses to get off the tools, to get out of their businesses and start focusing on their business rather than in their business. And we use National Small Business Week to be able to do that. So we have a kickoff event that we run with the city that we decided to do on the Monday of Small Business Week, and then right throughout the week, we run free events. That was the structure that we decided to do. Now, the goal for us is, as you saw in the video, it's promotion free, it's agenda free, and it's politics free. we felt that the only way, small businesses are marketed to all the time. People say, come to this free seminar and we'll teach you some stuff, and there's always a sales pitch at the end. And we wanted to make sure that when small businesses came out for Small Business Festival, they didn't have to worry about that. They knew that they were just going to get free information and it was no promotion whatsoever. So when you're going to do something this grand scale, we knew that there was just no way to do this, and we wouldn't want to do this without the support of the city. So I booked a meeting with Economic Development in Austin, and I sat down and had a conversation with them and said, look, we want to create this grand scale event for all of small business. And the reason why we want to do it is because we noticed that everything that happens in Austin is predominantly tech. Now, that's happening in a lot of states. As we've grown the festival out, we've realized that a lot of people are very tech focused, and a lot of the people outside tech feel like they're not included in a lot of these events. So this was something that the City of Austin was definitely aware of, but the other problems that they faced is the City of Austin, just like many cities, they run great free classes to help small business all year round. But the problem they had is they struggled to get business owners to come. And a lot of times, the same business owners would come because those are the people that knew, liked, and trusted the city. But a lot of other people struggled to develop a relationship with the city because they had this opinion that if they started to talk openly about their business, next thing they were going to have the IRS knocked on their door, or they were just worried and they just didn't have a relationship with the city. So they were trying to figure out how to bridge that gap. They also were trying to work out a way that they could have a sustainable impact on small businesses in all districts and underserved communities, and how they could increase the diversity for the people that were coming to these sessions. The other hurdles they faced is they couldn't ask speakers to speak for free. They couldn't ask event spaces for free space. They couldn't ask for money to pay for these things to provide the great events that they were running, and they struggled to get media. They saw Small Business Festival as their opportunity, or their way that they could start to fix that problem. So we agreed to partner, and we couldn't have done this without the support of the city, and I have to say it was 60 days before the event that we sat down with them and said, hey, we want to do this. So they really moved quickly to make this possible, and we got to work. Within that time, we recruited over 70 speakers within that 60-day marketing window. So we got people like Jim Cathcart, who's the #1 most award-winning speaker in the world. People like Ryan Dice, who's the #1 digital marketing strategist. The founder of WP Engine, Jason Cohen, who is one of the biggest WordPress providers around the globe now. And so many other speakers, all sharing their personal successes. Speakers loved coming out during National Small Business Week to share what they had learned about running their own business. These weren't professional speakers. These were people that had created their own successful business. And if we needed to, we gave them speech coaching so they could share their story the right way and share the tangible benefits. We also reached out to sponsors, and we got sponsors from like Capital One, who was our platinum sponsor. We got Facebook, WP Engine, GoDaddy, and Google Fiber. We reached out to co-working facilities, which is something that's happening in every city these days. We reached out to them and said, we would love you to give up your space, and we want you to do something you've never done before. These people were all in competition with each other. They would never self-promote each other's events, because if I start to help one event, one location, then my members may go to them. And we got them to agree to cross-promote. For the first time ever, every one of these organizations promoted everyone else's events that were happening at their locations. And membership went up, not down. We got key support from every form of media, from print to radio to TV. Many of these, the following year, became our sponsors. We got listed by Inc. as the #3 festival in America for small business, and by Twitter as the #2 profile to follow for National Small Business Week, right under the SBA, right above Google for small business. But more importantly, we got 1,200 people to attend. In 60 days, we got 1,200 small businesses to change and reschedule what they had planned and come along to Small Business Festival to hear these speakers share about how, not some great strategies, but how they utilize specific strategies to make their businesses grow. And then there was the catalyst for growth for all of the people involved. The city, the chamber, that generally don't work with a lot of big businesses, local media, co-working, and the SBA, all of them promoted the event, and all of their databases grew. Everybody succeeded because they self-promoted, which is what I call competitive collaboration. Every single person that helped promote this event had increased sales, had increased membership, and their databases grew. because the people that were going to the city events, that were the regulars, started to go to chamber events and started to go to co-working events. And the people that would frequent those but didn't have a relationship with the city would start to go to the city events. And all of those relationships that happen in the room, the year later, we managed to do a town hall meeting where we invited all these groups, and they've been working together for a year now on other events they did outside Small Business Festival because they finally got in a room and got an opportunity to work together. And that is happening every single year. Co-working facilities now are partnering up to do things that help small business all year round. We like to think of Small Business Festival as a bridge. During National Small Business Week, we create a huge amount of attention through media, through all sorts of advertising, through people mailing out to their lists to share the message of National Small Business Week, to share the message of Small Business Festival. And then all year round, we continually market the free events that are happening from community lenders, from non-for-profits that are there to help small business, from city governments, from state governments, the things that you do all year round that are amazing value for small business, but generally can't get it in front of all the people you want to help. And then we had to make a really tough decision. And our tough decision was, we made this work in Austin, but we were from Austin. Well, I just arrived, but the people that were on my team, they were from Austin. The question was, could we create this into a black box that we could share and distribute to other cities? Because it's fair and well that we can do it in Austin. We knew our IP, it was our face and our brand. But could we open this up in other cities, and how would we do that? What we decided is we couldn't do it without the support of the city government. And we couldn't do it without the support of a local organising party. Now, that didn't need to be a party that was well networked into with everybody, and you'll meet Craig shortly, who was a non-for-profit that had struggled to get a lot of small businesses to show up at his events, but worked with us and had huge success, and now is the centre point of a lot of the small business conversations. But we needed to have a local partner, we needed to have feet on the ground. And then we could work with them, use our black box, our IP, to help them secure free speakers for the event, to find locations, to get media, to fundraise, and to promote. We would teach them everything they needed to know, and we would manage and work with them from Austin. 100% supported, all of our website, all of our promotion centrally managed, so that we could do all the tough stuff and just let them work with the community partners to create a great week of free events for the small business community. We decided to test the water in San Antonio, Buffalo, New York, and Sacramento, just to see whether or not what we would do would work. We decided Sacramento's a rather large city, Buffalo, New York, very small city, and San Antonio, just around the corner from Austin, so something we could support very, very closely. Our partners started to email. We developed all these relationships. Our partners emailed. We estimate that there were about 200,000 people that received emails about Small Business Festival during National Small Business Week. That includes people like SCORE, companies like SCORE, non-for-profit lenders, people like the City of Austin, the state governments, and also huge numbers of corporations that shared the message around what we were doing. Everything from accounting firms right through to dry cleaners were sharing and putting up stickers on their walls about Small Business Festival. They also blew social media up. Everywhere we went, there was, the top one here is actually the Texas Music Office, all the way through to just a local marketing company, sharing the message about the fact that Small Business Festival is happening. Microsoft, Dell, all of our sponsors, Austin Film Society, we had involved as well. And we recruited nearly 300 speakers for those 4 cities. And here's the cool thing. Over 38% of them said that they mailed their list about Small Business Festival within that period of time. Over 30% said that they did it more than once. They also, the speakers, shared huge amounts of information about the events that they were running on social media. We picked up huge amounts of TV, radio, print. Again, we got listed as the second most popular profile to follow for National Small Business Week. We picked up TV and radio sponsors. It created this unparalleled momentum in the city. Every city we went to, it was everywhere that people looked, they saw Small Business Festival. Everywhere people looked, they heard about the free events that were happening. It had the word free in it, which everybody loves as a small business because we don't have a huge budget, but also they started to trust the Small Business Festival brand. In Austin, it was a wonderful change. In the first year, people were coming along going, what is this Small Business Festival thing? It's probably going to be a sales pitch. So they were very closed off about what it was, and the participation in the room wasn't that high. By year 2, people were walking around talking about what their learning schedule looked like, which events they were going to. As they were leaving the room, they were trying to match up with their friends or other participants which sessions that they were going to. In Buffalo, people came across to the first day of sessions a little bit not sure about what it was, but they understood the marketing, they understood the success in Austin, so there was a little bit more buzz in the first year cities. By day 2, registrations exploded. The momentum that we received, because everywhere people heard great free information, real business owners actually sharing their stories, not just topic matter experts. We received 4 government proclamations, everything from a lieutenant governor to a city official, to the mayor, providing us proclamations.
Local business is a driving force of creativity and inspiration for our city. As mayor, I'm proud of the thousands of small businesses that serve our community and help create local jobs and revenue for our city. As a small business owner, you make Austin unique.
What can we get started for you?
We value your contributions to our vibrant local economy. Join us for National Small Business Week to network and strengthen your business skills.
Thank you.
Stay updated on small business training and events with the City of Austin's Small Business Program at smallbizaustin.org.
We don't see Small Business Festival as about us. We see it as about fostering relationships to community partners, to governments that are around to help small business all year round. The City of Austin takes most of the credit for what we do in Austin during Small Business Festival, and they deserve every part of it because they are there to support the community all year round. For all other communities, our goal is to make sure that they're aware of the cities and all the resources that they have to provide. We see ourselves as the catalyst to help foster that relationship, but we want to make sure that that relationship sticks with the city. And the City of Austin, as I said, they created this video. Actually, we didn't even ask for this. This was something that they provided because they wanted to market. And we got this on primetime KXAN TV, which is the biggest channel in Austin. We got it played before a TV segment we did with the City of Austin. Now, this kind of marketing happened in Sacramento, it happened in Buffalo, and it happened in San Antonio as well. It wasn't just happening in Austin, though Austin was a second-year city, so there was a little bit more that happened there. In the first year, we had 1,200 people attend. With 4 cities in our second year, we had just under 5,000 people attend the event. Now, this is small businesses, a lot of them that had never gone to a government event, a lot of them that had never gone to a lot of other events that had happened in the community, especially in Austin, which was predominantly tech, but in Sacramento it was exactly the same. In Buffalo, a lot of these people that came to Small Business Festival didn't come to other types of events. They generally stayed in their business. Because we created such a media rah in the entire community, they said, I've got to come out and see what this festival thing's about. And we then developed new relationships. The diversity was fantastic. So the goal was to include tech, but mostly make it about all of small business. So these are some of the demographic data that came from the event. And obviously, now I'll just flick back because I saw some people taking photos, so I'll just do this a little bit slower. And these slides will be available for download as well. Otherwise, feel free to pick up my card afterwards and I'll be happy to email it to you. And small businesses loved it. We had thousands upon thousands of social media impressions under the hashtag SBF 2017. And we'll have thousands upon thousands of people again under the hashtag SBF 2018. But don't take our word for it. As I said, I've got Craig in the room, and I'd love to invite him to pick up the microphone. Actually, Craig, I might get you to come up so we can get it on camera. Sure. But, sorry, Craig, I might get you to come up to the front, mate. Yeah, thank you. So Craig actually reached out. He read the Fortune article about Small Business Festival, and he reached out originally because he wanted me to speak in Buffalo. He said, could we get we want to get a little bit of Austin and the flavour of Austin in Buffalo. And I said, well, if you really want to have a little bit of flavour of Austin in Buffalo, why not have Small Business Festival in Buffalo, New York? He had a non-for-profit, a team of 6, and they weren't getting a lot of traction within the small business community, but they really wanted to help. And I'll let you share the rest of the story, Craig.
So I'm pumped to be here, and I appreciate all of you being here because this is really cool stuff. And I tell Matthew all the time. Can you hear me? There we go. I tell Matthew all the time. I've drunk the Kool-Aid on Small Business Festival. I'm in to win here, and so the National Business Journals early last year ran a ranking of metro regions as far as small business vitality. And in Buffalo, we were 89th out of 106, which is a horrible, horrible showing. So some colleagues and I got together and said, we're going to build a regional small business group. And we built it all during 2016. And we came to the end of the year and said we want to take it to the next level. So that's when I reached out to Matthew and said, I read your article in Fortune, or it's Fortune, and we'd love to have you come speak about what you've been so successful with in Austin. He says, well, let me throw something else at you. Told me all about Small Business Festival. He says, we want to be in X number of cities in 2017 and more in 2018. He says, if you think you can pull it together, we'd love to do one in Buffalo, Niagara. And this is January for a May event. So I said 2018, and he says, no, let's do it this year. So we did. Our board said yes, and we moved forward with it. And it was just such a phenomenal experience because we said we have years of marketing ahead of us to really make this small business organization, this small business message robust. But we can do this 2-day festival with the support of the marketing from the folks in Austin and really get a shot in the arm on it, and it was tremendous. I mean, we had about 450 people attended. We did 2 events. We did Monday and 2 days of events. We did 32 events over 2 days, Monday and Tuesday. And I'm in a unique position because out of all the cities, because I did our event in Buffalo, and then I got on a plane and went to Austin, and I got to participate in their event too, which was fantastic. So I got to see the whole gamut of a first-year city and then a more mature festival the second year. The important thing for us, the 2 days of the festival, what we were able to accomplish those 2 days was fantastic, but what came out of it are the relationships that we built after. Again, we had no central focus for small business. We got tons of really, really great organizations and incubators and all kinds of groups that help small business, but most of them are not-for-profit. They don't have any money to market themselves, so nobody knows that they exist, and there's no coordination among them. So all of a sudden, after 2 days of programming, we have this coordination. Our organization can now serve as a center point. We have all these relationships, and everybody's primed to work together. Now, as we're talking about 2018, it's a different story. Again, last year we put the festival together in about 90 days. This year, they're coming to us. They want to be speakers. They want to host a session. They want to be sponsors, and we're really looking forward to May.
Thanks very much, Craig.
Absolutely.
So what you'll see there is, Buffalo, Niagara really needed a boost for small business. And they really needed to create a center point discussion, a team of people to help small business and the small business community. They weren't lacking in not-for-profit companies. They weren't lacking in people to help. What they were lacking was a central conversation where they could create a strategy for helping small business. Small Business Festival became that for 2 days. And then those groups collaborate now all year round. And they share their databases, they pull their resources, and they help small business. Now, the great thing for the organising party is that they're now part of that conversation. They have relationships they didn't have before. They have relationships with the city they didn't have before, and they're now part of that conversation. So it works for everybody involved. Now, you'll also notice that they ran it for 2 days. The reason why they ran it for 2 days is because, given the short window, we decided we'd truncate it. Make an impact for 2 days, make it great. In Austin, we've been going for a long period. We had a whole year to plan it, so we did a full 5-day event. Now, 450 people showed up, and what was interesting is the reservations were a lot less on day one, but after people experienced it for day one, RSVPs went up quite considerably. And you'll find that there'll be thousands of people in Buffalo, Niagara participating this year with a much longer marketing window. Media are already interested in talking about it because they now see that it was the heart and soul of small business. It wasn't promotional, there wasn't an agenda, there was no sales pitch. It actually was a safe place for small business. Now, that doesn't come without its challenges, of course, because you try and tell a sponsor that they can't talk about their products and services on stage, right? You go and tell everybody in the organization that's used to competing against each other that they're going to cross-promote. But during Small Business Festival, during National Small Business Week, they do it. And they all succeed because of it. This year, our plan is to be in up to 25 cities and to grow the festival to have an impact on over 30,000 small businesses. If you'd be interested in becoming a Small Business Festival city, what does that look like? Well, obviously we would love the support of the city. We would love it to be something that they can build into their own economic development narrative, that they would participate in sharing the information about the events. We'll obviously promote their events as well. Everybody cross-promotes everybody's events during that week. We need a local partner. We need somebody that is going to take control of the festival and be the accountable person. Craig was in Buffalo, and it did take some considerable time, but he managed to accelerate the success of his not-for-profit at least 4 years by participating. And then, obviously, there's sponsorship and fundraising. We market, we advertise, and the collective approach makes it cheaper for everybody involved, but we do need sponsors. Now, the nice to have is obviously SBA and state. Now, we have the process underway of developing formalised relationships with the SBA, and we also have every state we go to, we do develop relationships with them, but it takes time. But the local city is absolute key. If we don't have the city's support, it is much harder to make a festival work. Now, that's not to say in Sacramento, we had the city involved, but they did not promote the festival because it was too short a time window, and we still had over 1,000 people participate. And next year, we will be doing it as a collaborative force. However, it is absolutely much better if we have everybody involved. So if anyone here is interested in potentially looking at Small Business Festival for your city, we would love to talk with you. We'll be here. We've got cards. We can send you the information decks. But our true goal is to foster relationships with cities. And it's, as I said, it's not about us. So we really want to hear about what we can do to create a festival that fits your unique goals, that helps foster your relationships with small business community in your city. Now, I put this photo up just because I really love this photo, but it's really about questions. I'm sure people have some. Yes, if you could, do we have a microphone that we can pass around? Thanks.
I have two questions. Number one, define small business. And number two, what business segment responds best to this? Retail, manufacturing, what have you?
Thank you for the question. So the first question I have is, sorry, the first question was?
Define small business.
Okay, so the way I define small business is, I mean, people talk about it's up to X number of million and hundreds of employees. And, I actually co-authored that Fortune article with the people from Good Places to Work. And they focus on 100 employees plus. For me, our main focus is we feel like the disenfranchised group is actually people with less than 20 employees. People that are the freelancer that just has no support, has no idea what they're doing. The person with 1 or 2 staff members and they're not even sure how to handle those 2 staff members. The people that need the most support are the people that don't have. I mean, once you've got 100 employees, you kind of know what you're doing, right? So what we do is we find a lot of conferences, it's an easier sales pitch. When you go to a company like Dell and say, we focus on people with 100 staff members plus, Dell's very happy to pass on sponsorship. So we're doing the unpopular choice, but we feel that that is the most disenfranchised group, and that's where we focus our time. To answer your question in regards to what industries, as you saw from the demographic data, we find that there is, we do get retail, we do get manufacturing, but the primary group that seems to be interested in Small Business Festival is service, the service-based industry. So not just primarily professional services. While we do get a huge amount from people from legal and accounting learning how to run their businesses, what we find is that there is a whole gambit of service providers, from the graphic designer, that looks after their kids during the day, but also is running a business from home, to the freelance writer that's working at home and that's their full-time job. One of the biggest things that we focus on as well is, especially with a lot of these small businesses, we find one of the biggest struggles for small business is the isolation that comes with running a small business. So they're at home, they're sitting by themselves, all their friends are like, go get a real job. Like, you can't survive like this for very long. And it is horribly isolating. So what we focus on during that week as well is the reason why we partner with a lot of co-working facilities. We want to get them out of their isolation. We would love to see them at Chamber of Commerce's. We would love to see them at city meetings. We'd love to see them at co-working facilities. We want to see them outside speaking to other like-minded people that tell them that they can do it and share strategies. So for us, when we talk about, yes, there are a lot of service-based businesses because The people in manufacturing tend to be doing that in an office. So service providers, we very much in our narrative when we're on TV all the time, we keep talking about get out of your isolation, get out of isolation. We had Microsoft, which was one of our corporate sponsors last year, they live streamed 2 days of our event into all the Microsoft stores across the nation. And one of the big things that we did with them is we were like, cool, you can, it was at at Austin Libraries, and it was also at co-working facilities that they could watch some of the events. We were like, yes, you can watch it from home. You can type into the live stream, but that doesn't fix the isolation problem. Come out and watch it at Microsoft. Come out and watch it at your local library, because then you're sitting around with other small businesses, and if you have a question, one of the big things that we focus on as well is not just having great speakers at the front of the room and great business experts, but coaches in the back of the room. So we work with the Austin Coach Coalition and the International Coaching Federation in a lot of places where we make sure that when there's a speaker speaking, when all the people leave and they're like, how does that apply to my business? We do 5-minute coaching sessions that are promotion free so people can have a quick conversation and work out how it fits. Now, those sessions generally take a little bit longer than 5 minutes, but when people know that they only have 5 minutes, they're very specific about what their question is, and we can get straight to exactly how they apply what they learned in their business in the real world. Does that answer your question? Perfect.
Thank you. So quick question for you. How do you figure in with Chamber of Commerces that tend to be a little territorial sometimes and, things like that?
So what we found in Austin is the first year, we really struggled to get the support of the chambers. We did have one chamber that really got behind us, and what we did is we used their metrics. So one of the biggest things when the chamber that was involved, they had an event they used to run during National Small Business Week every year. They generally had about 70 people, and a lot of those faces were exactly the same faces that came last year and came to all their other events. They had 400 people at the event the year they ran it with Small Business Festival. The chambers that didn't work with us, and I obviously won't mention those names, but the chambers that didn't work with us tended to have less people show up because everybody else was publicising this big festival that was happening for everybody involved, and their event just happened to not be on it. So we worked with some people that, anybody that even had their own events that they were running, we said, great, we'll put it on our calendar, we'll give you the list. It's not really about the list, it's about just sharing this one message. So our goal is, it didn't matter what event you had, we would list it. The only thing we would do is quarantine that it was promotion free and that it was agenda free to make sure that it was in the best interest of small business. But to answer your question, we still have chambers that don't work with us and that haven't done that. In Austin even this year, we had one chamber that didn't participate with us, and about 2 days into the festival they asked if they could, but it was like the day after was their event, but their registrations were so low. But one of the things that we are very conscious of as Small Business Festival is we don't want to be perceived as a bully coming in and taking over the National Small Business Week. So we have an all-inclusive policy where we want your events to be on the calendar, we will share it, we don't ask for anything in return. So what we find is in a lot of the cities we foster that relationship. The chambers tend to be worried that we're going to try and take something from them. Once they realise in year 1, year 2, year 3 that we're not, we actually don't do anything and we just, it's like they run their own event, we just help them promote it, then the barriers tend to go down. But it depends. A lot of times that one statistic from that one chamber from year 1 really allows the new cities to go in and say, come on, don't be the one left out. But yeah, it's not just those, it's co-working facilities, everyone. In Austin, we have one really big co-working facility and lots of really small ones. And it's always that one co-working facility that says, I want my branding all over it, I want to do it. And we said, well, if you want to do that, you can't participate in the festival. And so it could have hurt us. They then came back to the table once we succeeded and said, all right, we'd like to be involved. So our rule is that we will never put one co-working facility above another. We'll never put one chamber above another. We always keep a level playing field. Otherwise, we don't feel like we're congruent with our message. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Okay, so what space requirement do you have to put on the festival? What amount of financial assistance are you looking for from cities or other entities in order to put this on? And how much lead time do you need in order to get this up and running?
So all those questions are kind of variable. As I said, with Craig, he came to us and we had 90 days. So we said, okay, let's do it for 2 days. The financial requirement was less. And the marketing budget, because Buffalo is a very dense population, around the Buffalo and Niagara region, it was really easy to target and market to those people. We also have a relationship with Eventbrite, so they mail out for us when we run an event in the city. So it makes it super easy when we're doing a 2-day event to get a couple of those events on the hit list. But in answer to your question, space is really easy because a lot of corporate sponsors potentially they may not give you money, but they all have corporate headquarters. So for instance, Austin has a wonderful 150-seat corporate training center in their building. So what we did is we utilised, yes, and of course they were a financial sponsor as well, but they didn't need to be to give up their space. So we say, some people just speak, other people just give us your space, and others, yeah, please, if you've got financial aid, we spend all that money on helping small business, so we would love you to participate that way. But they gave up their space for 3 days, and we ran 3 events a day in their space for 3 days, and we had that room maxed out to capacity all the time. So a lot of times we'll go to corporate headquarters and we'll say, don't give us your money, just give us your space. And they love giving up their space because they've got all these people walking into their corporate headquarters, seeing their logo. We go into co-working facilities and we say, every co-working facility has a training space. And we say, how would you like to have hundreds of people for this week show up at your co-working facility and go, oh, I didn't know this was around the corner from me, and later sign up. So a lot of them will just give up their space. So we've never had a problem with space. We've never paid $1 for space, and we've never had a problem getting it. Speakers, we've never had a problem with that either. And the sponsorship dollars is really around how much marketing we need to do. So what we do is we look at the city and we're like, okay, if we've got the support of the city, for instance, the city of Austin had just under 100,000 email addresses of small business. So that allowed the marketing budget to be a lot less. We've managed to pick up corporate sponsorship for the TV and radio. So that required, less and less money. So generally it's to do with how big is the city, how big an impact are we trying to make, and how much marketing do we need to have. But generally the numbers, it's nowhere near the $100,000 per city. It's much, much lower than that. When we first started with Small Business Festival, we're talking around 20,000 to 25 to run in the city.
Thank you so much. My question is, I serve in the town of Morrisville, which is in the Research Triangle Park. And so we have, in Wake County, so there's, you got Raleigh, Cary, Durham, Chapel Hill, lots of businesses. My question is, this would be very interesting. We'd love to consider doing something like this, but could we do something more regional? Because in our region, every city is becoming very strong. So you have Cary, Raleigh, we're a suburb of Cary, Morrisville. So that's my question is, could we get a collaboration of cities so that way we can bring them all in together rather than having one city do it and then just a thought.
So we're actually looking this year, because we had San Antonio and Austin, we're actually looking at doing everything between the San Antonio and Austin corridor this year, so that we'll have events right down that area. I live in Chapel Hill now. I just moved 3 months ago. So I'd love to talk to you about it. But yeah, to answer your question, one of the biggest things that we do is, one of the biggest issues for cities is when they run events, it always happens in the middle of the city and everybody else feels disenfranchised. So one of the biggest things we do is, because we leverage co-working facilities and people's spaces, we don't centrally manage. So this conference is all here. So people all have to come in here. One of the things that we do is, everywhere we run events, it's spread out everywhere. So we were as far out for people that don't know Austin that well, we were as far out as Cedar Park and Pflugerville, which is like an hour and a half out of Austin. We were as far out south as Orange Co-working, which was 45 minutes in the other way. And then we had co-workings in the east and the west. So literally it was the entire of Greater Austin that participated in the festival. And we did promotion out in those areas. We got other mayors involved to promote the festival as well, because while it was supported and founded with the city of Austin, our goal is we don't exclude anybody. So if a group says, hey, we'd love to be tacked onto that, we're only just a little bit further out, we'll do it. If we find an event space that wants to run some events, we'll do it. Because we want to make sure that that person that doesn't have a car, that has a small business that's sitting at home, can find an event by them. And that's our primary goal. We don't want people to have to commute into the city, and we don't want to leave people out.
So do you archive the videos of the presentations so that afterwards potential collaborators who couldn't make it to the live event can create mini gatherings to see those, or a collection of those videos, and carry this beyond that day?
Definitely. So we've recorded hundreds of hours of people's presentations. And we've got some fantastic ones. And feel free to look up Small Business Festival on YouTube. We don't charge for them, we give them all away for free. So, and that comes down to, sometimes we'll find a video partner that will sponsor to provide, to go out and videotape them all. Other times we have a company that will pay to have them all recorded. Capital One, our primary sponsor for the last 2 years, has actually paid for us to record all of the Austin sessions and some of the ones in the other cities. But again, that comes down to, again, finding a partner that's willing to financially support it. But our goal is that every dollar that I guess we could have made, we actually just spend on video recording every year. So we work out what budget we have, we work out what partners we can find. The Austin Film Society in Austin was great. In Sacramento, they got a person that videotaped all the sessions completely for free as a sponsor. In Buffalo, they recorded some of the sessions. So in short, yes, we record as much as we can afford to.
Yes, hi. You said that you like to have the local government support. Have you ever worked with local elected officials who actually spearheaded one of the events?
We actually haven't. So we had, in Austin, we had 2 people from the Economic Development Group that spearheaded it, and they got the elected officials to help promote it, but it came from economic development. In Buffalo, actually, we had and Craig, correct me if I'm wrong, it was the Lieutenant Governor. Yeah, so he was our biggest supporter in Buffalo to push it through. And in San Antonio, it was the Economic Development Department. But really, the goal is to have a government official or a government entity that says this is a safe place to come to, that we can then help foster that relationship. So we look for government support in every city we go to because A, it gives a festival credibility, but B, our goal is to help foster a relationship back to the city. So if we don't have the city support, that makes it pointless. We may as well go to a different city. One of the things that we do, we did this in San Antonio as well. We had a co-working facility that says, we'd love to run it, but we need to navigate the city and getting that funded and making sure that the rest of the people buy into it. And if it's just us, people will think it's about us, so we need to make it about the city. So we worked with them. So what I would suggest is let's have a conversation, because we're going to get kicked out of here. So let's have a conversation offline. But if anyone has questions about how we can navigate that situation to make it possible, we'd welcome those conversations and we'll work it through with you and we can even help you find the ideal partner. No problem. And thank you very much everyone for your time.